Normally, I have a whole script written up because I try to put a lot of energy and thought into the messages that I want to put out. But sometimes you just need to say some stuff without a plan. I wanted to address a few things today. I wanted to kind of share some of my thoughts on the nature of the world and the truth of the world. As I see it now, and I'm open to being wrong, but do you remember being a kid and people would tell you that certain things were foolish? Like magic, for example, gets made fun of. We have magicians with stupid hats and assistants on stages, and they pull rabbits out of hats and saw people in half. But I'm finding that in my experience of reality, the things that end up being true tend to be whitewashed by culture and society at large. And the things that I'm finding is true tend to be made fun of by the mainstream. And I find that really interesting because at this point in my life, I know that death is an illusion. I know that we come here by choice to grow. I know that our souls, we are just artists. You see it when you see little kids playing down the street and they're pretending and they're having a game of make-believe. That's what we do. Our true state, it's as if we're just small suns radiating light. And we love to create. I'd say we're addicted to it as artists, right? If you're an artist, I think you can relate. And so we create these constructs like what we're in now here, where you're viewing this for play, to try something. So what does society tell us that is foolish? One thing I can think of right off the bat, there are several major religions of the world, and many people buy into those religions in an attempt to get a ticket to escape suffering and to move towards a better experience, i.e. heaven. Now think about that for a moment, that concept of I'm willing to step on the backs of others, such as people in the LGBTQ plus community. I'm willing to reduce the rights of others so that I have a better shot at making it to heaven. Does that feel benevolent? Is that right? Only you can decide, and that's your choice, right? So religion is a big thing that whitewashes people. Nowhere in any major religion does it talk about things like out-of-body experiences or astral projection. Maybe in the early works with some of the Gnostic texts that have been found, like Nag Hammadi library, but mainstream culture, mainstream religion doesn't talk about that. But if you become familiar with exiting your body and traveling, you can see what the real truth of things is, the real nature of reality. But no one urges us to do that. Matter of fact, most people are scared to. I'm only now beginning that journey. I thought remote viewing was the end-all be-all to truth, but now I'm learning that out-of-body states are 1,000 times that. What else is made fun of? Magic, magicians, right? The concept that you have to toil from 9 to 5 to get barely anything. Everyone on this planet seems to have been born with a blanket that's 6 inches too short for their body, right? Oh, one thing gets covered up. Oh, and at least your feet are warm, but now your chest is cold. My chest is cold. You pull the blanket up. But now my feet are cold. No one is ever content or at peace because we don't have enough, right? It's a system. It's a machine. I'm not saying that working hard is wrong or bad. I'm saying that if you merge that in conjunction with working hard on the energetic level, on the spiritual level, things flow into your life. I'm now on the cusp of learning this because things that I've manifested quite a while ago are now starting to come in, and they're coming in stronger than I ever thought they could, which creates like a snowball exponential effect, right? You start to believe more because you see more, so you believe more and then more happens, and it grows and grows and grows, right? And that's the power of magic, of simply using that state as you're falling asleep and getting better at not falling asleep and visualizing, but really feeling what it is that you want to come into your life. And any skeptic who poo-poos this, I invite you to try it. Come back in 6 months after you've tried it. See if you're still skeptical. Uh, I wanted to touch on some of the most beautiful things I've seen while remote viewing, and they've been other beings' thought forms. Um, I've seen things that people inadvertently create, whole realities that they create, that they escape into. Some of my favorites, a gal invented a lighthouse that she would go to, just a solitary place of peace. And I went there. I didn't know I was going to go there. I just happened to go there and went up the spiral staircase and met a man there. And, there's really no limit. What you imagine, you create somewhere. And that somewhere is more real than here. And you go back there when you die, but you can choose to go there now through astral projection or remote viewing or mediumship or meditation. So I encourage people to do that. Other things that I've seen that are absolutely beautiful that I just want to share here. There seems to be a larger pathway through all of these constructs. It's sort of like a spiral staircase. It's very cosmic. And I had a moment where I was gazing up it, and there are beings all the way up the staircase and also all the way down the staircase. And when that was happening, I had kind of a knowing. If anyone watching this has children, I'm sure you can relate to, if they've ever done something wrong, you still love them. What if they did something really wrong? What if they went to jail for, let's say, murder? Do you still love them? What if they went to jail for the worst possible thing you can think of, whatever that is for you? Would you still love them? And as a parent, I'm sure you know that you would. Why? I don't know. Is it logical? Maybe not. But that love is the fabric of all reality. And it is the essence of what is beyond this reality. If you can take just a blade of grass from that field of love and live that way, just for a day, maybe even a minute, to where anyone that you encounter, you realize that they're someone's child to start with. Okay, they're someone's child. They have different politics than me. They're still someone's child. They have done a horrendous thing to another human being. They're still someone's child. Someone loves them in a way that you can't. But what if you could? And why shouldn't you? All the pain that we have here on earth is from placing judgments on things that are not necessary. And it's not important to do. And the more that you can bring that realm into this realm now, the better this world can be. And that's really the point. And I would say that that's how God views us. Children that it loves. I don't necessarily believe anymore that there's one God looking down on everything. I think it's more of like a field of consciousness. And it's a larger one. It's like a large sea that all the other smaller, puddles and rivers exist in. But last thing I wanted to mention, the very last remote viewing session that I did, I sometimes I go off the rails and I encounter things that are then become evidence to me later on down the road. Like, for example, I think I was remote viewing Moana 2 with a great group of people, and I went off the rails and went to this place. It was like a room with all these shelves. And on each shelf was like an orb of color and light. And it was just multitudes of these, right, on these shelves. And there were new ones being created. There were old ones that had been around for a long time, so on and so forth. And then a year later, I hear Darius J. Wright talking about that very, very place where, the creator creates these different constructs with realms in them. And we're in one right now. Stuff like that really tells me, like, that's the truth. That's really real. I'm overcalling this reality. I think it's just this part of, of where I'm at right now. Anyway, last thing I want to mention, in a remote viewing session that I did when I went off the rails, I felt like there was a being that was the size of a mountain just to my left. And, I don't know really what angels are, but if I could call it that, it would certainly be one. Its immensity, its largeness, its sternness, its power was quite prevalent. And it took me through a whole journey, and it was a very long journey. I did, I think, 3 to 5 separate sessions on it, but the summary is this. I want to talk about, if this is true, what we all have to look forward to, okay? According to this, and I may be wrong, I don't know if this is real, but according to this session, the Ark of the Covenant becomes a key piece of tech, and it is tech, I should say, in bridging the realms between our realm and every other realm, of which there are 12. What I saw was us and a species from realm 2, maybe, the galactic realm, that merge with these sort of rods inside the ark. And when that occurs, an energetic output occurs, and all 12 realms, they sort of shared just a little teeny tiny little corner, and they all overlapped, all 12. And in that space, I saw each keeper of each realm coming from their realm to that little corner, and all of them are coming to this one spot to kind of meet. There's a dragon kind of realm, like the Fey realm, I'd say. There was an all-white being. There was a lot, and at some point I got blacked out. I couldn't see anymore. One of the beings looked at me, and the second it looked at me, I just I couldn't connect. I was so overwhelmed energetically. But my point is this: according to this session, there is a time where a merging occurs, and it's a good thing. This merging, let me put it this way: there's going to be a point in time, according to this, where our lives will be lived in conjunction with the lives of those in the other 11 realms. And there will be, it felt like 2 points during every day where sort of the walls between those and ours become close or thin, and you can experience them. This occurrence felt very sort of angelic, or like 12th realm level, heavenly. And there's something to do with a spiraling or a rotation. I call it angel tech. I don't know what else to call it, but it's a sort of thought up technology that allows this sort of merging to happen. And this occurs after the bad guys are subdued. I won't tell you how. I'm going to save that little secret. That's just for me. It's a kind of poetic justice, and the joke is that all malevolent beings sort of destroy themselves because they're so selfish and greedy, and they can't get along. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, I think just one last thought. If anyone knows, if anyone else has seen this during astral travels or remote viewing, has anyone out there ever seen what looked like a sort of like a demon holding a book that was open, but its face was turned away from it because the book was just emitting light? I know that's random, but if anyone's seen that, I'd be curious to know. I still, to this day, I don't know what that was. I don't know what it's symbolic for, but yeah. Have hope. Listen to your intuition and your heart. Anything that society deems as stupid or weird, let them. What do you deem it as? What can you prove to yourself empirically outside of what I say by learning remote viewing or out-of-body experience? think there's some really good things coming soon. And I look forward to that. And I think the more that we can embody the kind of essence that is just outside of this realm into our daily lives, the sooner it happens, the easier it happens, and the greater it happens. And I just look forward. I've seen a day where we all celebrate. It's like dancing in the streets. I don't know how else to describe it.